All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's market recap, market breakdown. Um, yeah, this is Christian Tharp, CMT, and operator of the lifetime trading system and uh, multiple trade services such as options, Gambit, Prime Time, you name it. All right. So we'll talk about some of those trades today, but we're going to pan out, talk a little bit about the market, update that. So as we mentioned going into last week, we had this breakdown of this trend line of support, not to mention other issues we had discussed. So the momentum divergence. Remember, the Dow never confirmed this high. The Dow's last closing high was back in December. NASDAQ 100 versus the NASDAQ composite. NASDAQ 100 hit a high here. The composites is back in December. When we see those non-confirmations, it's not uncommon for those to mark important highs. So we got this momentum divergence. Remember, we got bonds breaking out, which means yields lower, right? Yields lower, typically declining market. A lot of things have us a little bit on edge. Bottom line is we went into last week thinking lower. That is what we got. Came out of the bottom of this channel, and as of right now, not really sure what to make about this, but what I will say is, in my experience, this commonly is not a good thing, right? It kind of signals like an oopsie or running out of the ability to hold this thing. But we did battle back on Friday. So we came into this week thinking higher. It's a great reversal look for those of you playing the candlestick version. This would be that bullish piercing pattern. So our view coming into the week is that we would move higher. Market did open up higher, obviously selling off a little bit. Don't know if that means anything. Remember, stocks, markets, securities, they don't go up and down in straight lines. Highly discouraged, getting all caught up in what's happening on a 1 minute or a 5 minute, especially if your trading is multi-day or longer, right? 1 minute candles are wildly insignificant. All they do is create emotion. Okay. Same thing with 5 minute. You want to go out there and try to day trade. That's a different story. I would encourage you to remember that that is the exact reason why that's the lowest probability of success trying to day trade. Specifically, most importantly, because of what I just mapped out. Looking at small time scales like that, a lot of false signals, a lot of up and down, right? Creates a lot of emotion. Okay. But we pan out here a little bit. We expect to go lower, no matter what kind of little rallies we had last week. We went lower, right? So just like today, just because we pulled back, so didn't expect to go higher in a straight line. We'd expect there to be up and back and forth and back and forth. So for now, we're expecting higher. In order to expect higher beyond Friday, we need to see the NASDAQ 100 get this 21K back. All right. If it gets that 21K back, then I think that would open the door to more on the upside this week. Taking out these highs, I would say let's just pump the brakes on that. One day didn't wipe out everything we've talked about in the way of our concerns with the overall market, bigger picture. One day didn't wipe out everything we talked about this time last week. Okay, so we're gonna need a lot more than one day. Okay, let's go back. All right, a lot of great days. And I'm not saying that we're in a bear market. Okay, so don't misunderstand. Just saying the last time we called a correction was back here. Okay, and it turned out to be a bear market. Look at this incredible reversal. I can't count the number of analysts that said that was the low. Okay, we were done. Back to new highs we go. Because I'm not emotional, because I'm not biased to the upside, conceded that, yeah, that could very well be the low. But we're talking about a big monthly momentum. This is a 1 day little candle. It's piddly. Who cares compared to a monthly scale that we just talked about? This was an awfully long term. This channel was almost a year. 1 day wipes out a year worth of price action. So no, I don't think that's the low. I think it's a low, and sure enough, it was. Same thing here. Look at this guy. One heck of a turnaround. Somewhat similar to what we just had on Friday. Somewhat. Nice little bullish piercing. Our view was probably heading higher. And we did, right? Pulled back, went higher, took out this level here, which we thought, maybe we are, right? So you always want to try to stay neutral and don't be biased. There's nothing more annoying than the perma bears or the cheerleading bulls with the little skirts on, right? That everything, right? The mere idea that the market could sell off is crazy talk, right? They're just as bad as their counterparts. You want to stay neutral, right? Just what do you see? Okay. What does the market tell you within context of all the variables? So when we talk about right now, yeah, this is certainly looks like a low. Is it the low before going to new highs? I'm going to go with jury's out on that one, and it'll be difficult to say. To be quite honest with you, you know, we could get back up to 6,100, and I couldn't tell you that that we're not going higher. I mean that we're not rolling back over. Let's think about the 2015 2016 stretch. How many times, right? We butted up against. Did I go back far enough? Yes. It's hard to see, but right there, right? The actual closing high here on the S&P was right back here. Look, look. We didn't take out the intraday or the closing high here. I can't tell you just because we go back up and challenge those highs that we're not going back down. Look at this. Sure looked like we put in the double bottom and back to new highs we go, right? Nope. We're hitting new lows. Okay. So yeah, all the cheerleading bulls with their little skirts on are going to talk about, hey, once we get right up here, okay, that new highs are coming. Maybe, I would say probably. This thing's doing here. Try this one more time. There we go. If we got all the way back up to 6,100, yeah, maybe, probably, but I can't tell you for sure. Okay. So we're going to take it a level and a rung at a time. Before we get too uber bullish, we're going to go with, needing to see that NDX take out that 21K. If we can do that, then we'll look for higher as we go and take it from there. Last week, we had a pretty good trade. Now, first off, our TLT trade's still going well. That's our long-term trade. Remember, we got in this at 89. So we're actually looking pretty darn good here. But last week for our coaching program, lifetime trading system, pretty good stuff if you're ever looking for some help because it does include your education, includes mentoring and coaching and trade ideas and actual trades, right? And you're dealing directly with me, a CMT, anytime you need it, right? So last week we had a couple really nice trades. We had our Palantir. Okay, we thought the market was going to go higher. We had puts. Thought we targeted 85. Why? That was the breakout point. Came down to 85. We got our gain. We threw on some calls once we got close to hedge ourselves in case there was a bounce and we didn't quite reach our target. Nope. We reached our target, turned around, rallied, closed out the calls, and actually made 50% on those too. Right? But our view was lower, so we didn't hang on to them. We waited for an opportunity to get out, and it was only a hedge anyway. So this worked out really well for us. I believe it was 100 and we made 50% on the calls, but the calls were smaller. I think we ended up with 120, 130% gain on that trade. And then we had our AMD. Okay, again, we thought lower. Here was AMD at the time we put on. We bought the 100 puts. Okay, we bought them for 55 cents, set a sell limit the day before. Okay, here was the Thursday we got filled. Made our 100%. All we wanted. We thought 100 was the level in question. Look where the stock's been holding. Okay, so in other words, we weren't flying blindly, right? We weren't guessing or hoping. Both of these, notice how the targets were clear. We were patient. We waited. Now, the heartbreaking one, even though we had a nice profitable week, VST was a heartbreaking one for us. We decided to go on a one-day trade. This was Thursday. So we decided to buy the 125 calls, but then hedge them with some 140 puts way up here, or calls. 125 puts. 140 calls to hedge. Our thought was we were going lower. We did. We set a sell limit $3. Unfortunately, the puts only hit 295. So we closed the puts out for a loss. Then we closed the calls because I didn't think we were going to get back up here. We took a 40% loss, which is very, very frustrating when you were a nickel away from a 200% gain. But even with that 40% loss, we end up with almost a grand in profit last week, and those are $500 trades. So we're pretty happy with our overall week, but just missing by a nickel was a little disappointing because it would have been a pretty nice week. Instead of a 1K week, it would have been a 2K week. So it would have been kind of nice for a service that doesn't put a whole lot into its trades. That is. Now, of course, some of the members in that program put a lot more than $500 in those trades, and they had much better weeks. But so it's a pretty good week. But anyway, all right. So that's some of the trades we put on. Options Gambit put on the Reddit trade, which worked out great for us. We had a strangle on this. We closed it when it fell. Real nice gain here. I think we made 300% last week on this trade. Once we got down here, we knew where we needed to get out. We closed those puts. Once we rallied, we took off the calls as well. So this was pretty easy peasy. And then, like I said, in my mentoring program, I teach all that stuff. If you haven't heard of it, it's the Lifetime Trading System. It's a full system, so it includes everything. And once you're in for life. So something to think about. Anyway, we'll come back next week. We will recap it. Right now, as I said, we're expecting higher. If the market gives us a signal today that leads us to believe higher is not the way, then certainly we will pivot like we always do, right? Be flexible, right? Otherwise, see everybody next week.